Christian fundamentalist Franklin Graham is defending his political daddy again. I, of course, mean Donald Trump. He loves Donald Trump with a burning passion. Evangelist leader Franklin Graham said he is an outspoken supporter of President Trump because he defends the Christian faith. Now, people say, well, Frank, but how can you defend him when he's lived such a sordid life? Graham said on Axios on HBO, appearing to reference things such as the multiple allegations of sexual misconduct against the president. Trump has repeatedly denied any inappropriate conduct. Quote, I never said he was the best example of the Christian faith. He defends the faith, and I appreciate that very much. Axios notes that later in the interview, Graham, the president and CEO of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, doubled down on his defense of Trump despite his treatment of women. Quote, Trump has admitted his faults and has apologized to his wife and his daughter for things he has done and said, he said, and he has to stand before God for those things. What I find fascinating is that these fundamentalist Christians, it really does appear to be that politics always overrides the actual religiosity. Because when they talk about somebody defending the Christian faith, what they mean is they're just down the line Republicans. And that's what they define as defending the Christian faith. Now, one would think if you actually go through the doctrine, you can get any ideology you want from religion, and Christianity is no different. You can get any ideology you want from there. But yeah, there are some examples of things that they don't have a counter-argument to it, but they just ignore it. So like Jesus in most of the New Testament is a hippie, commie Marxist before Marxism was a thing. I mean, line after line, it's more likely for a camel to get through the eye of the needle than a rich person to get into heaven. Who would Jesus deny healthcare to? That's a serious question. Would Jesus be against a living wage? Is Jesus more in favor of tax cuts for the rich and war, or the opposite? Again, this is stuff that's like so obvious. But to a guy like Franklin Graham, as long as you're down the line Republican, then we're going to be with you. Like, one of their big things is abortion. And that's what one of the things he means when he says, oh, Trump has done a great job defending the faith. But they don't even realize, in the Bible, they talk about how if your wife cheats on you, she should drink bitter water, and bitter water induces an abortion. And the whole idea behind it is, and it says it right in the Bible, I think it's in Numbers, if you abort, well, that just means that that was the kid that from the person that your wife cheated on you with. So that's not your baby. That's that guy's baby. So it's good that you aborted. But if she drinks the bitter water and she doesn't have the abortion, she doesn't miscarry, well, then that's your baby and it's all good. So they're literally prescribing abortion if somebody cheats. And they just add, there's this mythology created about the faith where it's like, no, the faith is really just doctrine, being a doctrinaire Republican. It's like there's this new thing, I think it's on YouTube. I saw a video about it the other day on Twitter, Republican Jesus, and he just goes around saying like, you know, shit like Rick Santorum would say, or Ted Cruz or whatever. And it's like, it sounds so at odds with Jesus in most of the New Testament. Again, you could take any ideology you want from religion because you could cherry pick the negative parts, but isn't it amazing how with these fundamentalist Christians, it always happens to be the negative parts? It's like never a good thing. So they're such frauds. Because they really do prioritize. It's almost like, here's the conclusion. And I saw somebody talk about this recently. It's almost like it's more of a cultural identity than an actual belief system. So when guys like Franklin Graham and Brian Fisher and Rick Wiles and, you know, John Hagee, when they're like fawning with adoration for Trump, despite the fact that Trump cheated on his wife nonstop, and the fact that he's bombing 8 different countries, and moving us closer to war with Iran, and screwing over the poor and helping the rich. The fact that he's doing all those things, it's irrelevant because it's not really about the doctrine of the faith. It's more about they have a cultural identity. And that cultural identity is white evangelical fundamentalism with the real ideology of standard conservative Republican politics. So they don't even see the contradiction that I'm pointing out, that they're ignoring all the parts in the Bible where Jesus is super far left. They don't see that contradiction. They don't see that hypocrisy. They don't care about it. Doesn't register because, again, it's more about a cultural identity. And you see a lot of that with the most hardcore Trump supporters. It's not about the policies. It's not about anything other than it's a cultural identity. I'm with Trump. We're against the libs. We're with the good people, the white evangelical Christians. And that comes with a whole host of beliefs that are even counter to the well-being of those very same people. But they don't care. But it sure is a fascinating thing to watch. And it'll leave you scratching your head if you don't view it through that lens. The lens of, it's not about the policies, it's not about the religious doctrine, it's more about a cultural identity. And to me, the most overwhelming thing about that fact is just how mind-numbingly stupid it is.